Our new MOPA oscillator has been stirring up a lot of attention lately. So in this short video, I'm really excited to show you how I use it along with the GB4000 frequency generator. So I've got both of them set up here and a couple of the accessory pieces that put it all together. Over here is the GB4000 frequency generator, and it's got the special modified BNC connection in the back, which connects to the back of the MOPA oscillator. And then here we have the MOPA oscillator and the plasma tube on top. The plasma tube is connected to the two connections here for positive and negative. And then over here we've got the Elenco F2800, which is our frequency counter. And that's what reads the frequency and allows us to get real specific with the frequency that we're dialing in with this frequency dial. So the first thing I do, and you'll notice over here we have a set frequency position and a run input position. And right now it's set to the set frequency position, whereas down here it would be on the run input. So we're going to start with it on the set frequency position. And you also notice these two generator input plugs. This is another way that potentially the GB4000 could be connected, but we'd always rather use the BNC connection on the back of the GB4000 generator, because that prevents interference from coming back into the GB4000 from the MOPA oscillator. So once we have it in the set frequency position, I simply turn on the MOPA oscillator, and as you can see, the plasma tube lights right up. It doesn't require any kind of tuning. It's real simple to operate in that manner. And once that lights up, then we can see here, this is the power meter here, and this is displaying the milliamps that are running on the MOPA. And that power output can be calculated into watts of output to the plasma tube simply by multiplying it by the approximately 1120 volts that the MOPA is running at, because this is it's a high voltage, low amperage system, just like the 1930s oscillators were, and that's why this is a real authentic 1930s replica oscillator. So over here we have the frequency dial, and before I start tuning that, I'm going to show you how the Elenco works. And this Elenco is actually picking up the frequency that the MOPA is running right now, and as you can see when we first turn it on here, it's running approximately 1.45 megahertz. And the MOPA has a frequency range of approximately 1.1 megahertz to 1.9 megahertz. And the Elenco can help us tune in to a desired frequency that we want to run. And basically this is the carrier wave that is running, and then the GB4000 will then pulse this carrier wave, and whatever the GB4000 is running as far as frequencies go will be carried on the oscillation delivered to the plasma tube by the MOPA oscillator. And so right now it's running at 1.45. We can adjust the frequency dial, and as I adjust the frequency dial up, you can see the frequency reading on the Elenco also slowly increases, and I'm going to adjust it up to 1,604,000, as you can see right there. And it holds pretty steady at 1,604,000. You can see there's another couple digits on the right hand side, but those we can just disregard because the precision of this Elenco frequency counter is very, very precise, but we don't need to worry about those two extra digits over there. So once I tune in the carrier that I want to run, the 1,604,000, then I can put the Elenco aside and turn it off, and we look at the power output meter. We can see that my output setting is at about 80 milliamps, so it's still pretty low power. And you can also note the brightness of the tube. Now, when I go ahead and turn on the GB4000, I can do a number of things with the GB4000, but there's a few things that I'm always going to do. Is I'm going to first switch it into audio mode, and then I like to put on the gating. It's not super important, but I do tend to like to put on the gating. The gating can be set at various rates, and we won't go into that on this video. We'll save that for other videos in our private members area. But the gating is turned on just by simply pressing 1 after pressing the gate button. And after that's done, one of the ways I like to do it is to actually run sweeps. And to run a sweep, I will type in the duration of the sweep, and then the sweep button, and then the start frequency, and then enter, and then the end frequency, and then enter, and then I'm just going to run a regular sweep, not a convergent sweep. And then now we can see it is running. It's starting to sweep from 1 hertz to 100 hertz. It's already at 2.4, and I'm going to pause that actually, and then show you how that works. Now we're ready to change this from the set frequency to the run input, and now you can see the power level drops to 0 because we've paused the frequency generator. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn the power level down on the GB4000, and I'm going to unpause it, and then we can see as I turn the power level up, the tube starts to pulse, and we can see that pulse because it's a low frequency, and we can see the power level increase. We can also see the pulse in the power meter, and I'm going to put it up to a pulse of about 140 milliamps right there, and that's at 140 milliamps. That's running at approximately 60 watts of power output. That's the average power output. It will, at 60 watts of average power output, it will pulse up to 250 watts. And that allows it to deliver some very sharp voltage spikes, which are very unique and important as far as replicating the 1930s oscillations. So now you can see the sweep is continuing, and it's up to about 16.5 hertz. And as it gets higher and higher, we're going to see the pulsation less and less. And I did that so you could see how it changes with the increased frequency. And that's basic. That's the basic operation of the MOPA oscillator. And the one other thing I wanted to show you is now that we see it at a little bit of a higher frequency, I want to show you also it running just at a low frequency. So I'm going to, this time I'll just put in 3.5 as the frequency, and I'm going to run that. And now you'll see it slowly ramp up to the full power output, and as it does that, the meter will also pulse, and so now you can see that low frequency pulse again, like we saw it in the beginning of the sweep. So that's the basic way that I use the GB4000 frequency generator along with the 1930s replica MOPA oscillator. And thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about this 1930s replica MOPA oscillator, go ahead and join us inside the members area on futurefrequency.com. And inside, there's an additional video where I show you the internal workings of the MOPA oscillator and what makes this machine so unique. And that's where I get into the details of the vacuum tube oscillator inside the unit and show you exactly how the coil works with the vacuum tube oscillator, and why we have an adjustable frequency meter as well. So I'll see you inside.